Today we're going to be looking at environmental issues. Now, specifically for your exam, we need to talk about how technology can have an impact on the environment. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list, but these are the main topics that seem to keep coming up about environmental issues. So we've got climate change, pollution, and habitats. Now, one of the most common mistakes that people make is always think that everything that affects the environment to do with technology is a bad thing. There's actually loads of positives that you can talk about, and we're going to have a look at a few of them so that you can talk about it in your exam. So the first big positive of technology on the environment is being able to work remotely. So this was huge during COVID, especially when people were using things like Teams and Zoom to be able to communicate, teach lessons, and still have business meetings. It also meant that people didn't have to drive places as much, which means there's less cars on the road, which means there are less CO2 emissions in the air affecting the atmosphere. Another huge positive is paperless communication. So we communicate via email, which is a lot faster to actually get to where it's going, but also it means there's less cars on the road, which is going to be delivering letters. We also use things like ebooks and digital documents, which is having a big positive impact on the environment because we're not chopping down as many trees to produce these documents. A final positive of technology on the environment is smart technology. So most people in their homes now have a smart meter, which is making people more aware about the energy that they're using in their homes. As a result, people are using less energy, which is having a better impact on the environment. So we do need to understand that technology is also having a negative impact on the environment. What's important for this topic as well, though, is that for each of these, you need to try and come up with a possible solution to how you would counteract that negative impact on the environment. So the first one we're going to talk about is climate change. So to actually manufacture digital devices, it uses a lot of energy. Now, to produce that energy, it comes from fossil fuels, which are releasing greenhouse gases like CO2 into the atmosphere. There's also a huge increase on people using streaming services like Netflix and Now TV. This is adding to the carbon footprint of digital technology. A potential solution to this might be where we get our energy from. Using green energy, solar powered energy, and so on might have a better impact on the environment. We are still going to be needing to manufacture digital devices. We just need to do it in a cleaner way. The next big topic that we need to have a look at is pollution. So toxic chemicals are used in the production of digital devices. And as it's being produced, if it's not being disposed of properly, lead and mercury can actually have a really harmful impact on the environment. Most of it will end up in landfill, and in developing countries especially, this can have a massive impact on the soil and the water in the environment. Something else having a huge impact on this is the fact that huge companies like Samsung and Apple have got a lot of pressure on them from the public to be producing new technology every single year or two. As a result of this, people are replacing their phones all the time, which means that their old phones aren't being disposed of properly and they're not being recycled, so it ends up in landfill. So as a potential solution to this, people should have maybe a donation scheme where they can pass phones on to other people who might not have one. There's a better way to recycle phones and digital technology to help reduce how much impact it's having on the environment when it's ending up in landfill. The final topic we're going to talk about is the destruction of habitats. Digital devices contain materials such as lithium, cobalt, and other rare earth metals. These get used in things like batteries and circuit boards. To actually source these materials, it means there's going to be deforestation and the destruction of natural habitats. This often occurs in countries where there's not very good environmental protection, and it has a massive impact on wildlife and the communities. As a possible solution to this, government and leaders need to do a better job of governing where these things take place, how often they take place, and by doing it in a cleaner way to protect the environment. So I've got a question on this topic for you to practice. A company plans to replace all employees' desktop computers with brand new laptops every 2 years to ensure high performance and security. Discuss the environmental impact this decision could have. Notice that this one is worth 4 marks, so you're going to need to come up with 2 things and a reason why it's having an impact. Okay, let's have a look at the answers then. So the question was, a company plans to replace all employees' desktop computers with brand new laptops every 2 years to ensure high performance and security. Discuss the environmental impacts this decision could have. So you could have put something like increased e-waste, that would get you 1 mark. frequently replacing devices creates more electronic waste, which may not be recycled properly. That would get you a 2nd mark. You could have also put pollution from disposal. That would be 3 marks. You could then explain devices contain harmful chemicals which can pollute the environment if dumped in landfill. That'll get you all 4 marks. And that's it for this video. I'll see you next time.